Okay, so welcome back to the videos. And first of all, I would like to thank you guys for watching the previous uploads. I had already written the script for this, but I was like, yeah, I'll record it later. But then I accidentally saw that it had got quite a bit of views, like much more than I expected. So I thought, maybe today's the good day to record it and get the next parts uploaded. So hope you guys are doing fine. And today we're gonna look at a very interesting and an important topic. So let's get into it. Uh, so the topic for today is um, how to think. So let me just connect you with the previous lectures. So previously we looked at um, we looked at okay the pencil time. Yeah. We looked at reality and we looked at media. Like how do you transfer something, how do you explain something, how do you transfer an idea to someone from one human to another. So that's media, and media helps us understand, like media. So what media does is it's kind of shapes the reality, like if I convince you something, then that's going to be your reality. Okay, so reality is subjective, and based on reality we often make media. Like I'll write something based on reality, or I'll write something and that becomes the reality. So it's effectively a two-way kind of a street, you can say. Media has the ability to influence the reality of someone, like because you saw something or read something, it changes the way you think, it changes the way you see, or sometimes it can be straight up you believe something, right? So if I say that I have a mango tree at my home, there's a chance that you may just believe it, and that is for you. I do have a mango tree at my home, so I hope that's simple. So you can see how media and reality are kind of this layers, where they have the ability to affect each other. And so after that, what we're going to be looking is we're going to check out how to think. Okay, and the reason why we are doing that is we're going to kind of extend this to understand what is life. So, in order to understand what is life and how these three things kind of interact with each other, what we can do is we can understand a new way of thinking, something that is like a tool, it's just kind of a idea where you'll be able to think in a more open-minded way, and most importantly, you will be able to think for yourself. I'm not gonna be, it's not like I'm telling you how to think or I'm giving you a process, but I'm just showing you a glimpse, I'm just showing you a kind of a trailer. And what you can do is you can understand it for yourself. So it's like I show you a painting and you see a painting, and then you have ideas like how can I draw this painting? How can I use this color? There will be your own idea, your own interpretation. So that's kind of the approach we are going for. And so that's what we are going to be doing. Okay. I'm going to give you a model of thinking. I'm going to give you some questions, something like that, and you're gonna think for yourself and see how that works for you. Okay. Um so we're gonna look at um, how to think. Huh. So, all assuming we already have a default and a certain way of thinking which we are used to, like we can be uh, emotional, or we can be imaginative, or we can be logical, or we can be practical. I'm just roughly noting down. These are not uh like strict definitions as per se. These are just some rough ideas, like just to open up you to different angles. Like these are like widely understood, right? Like everyone knows what is emotions, everyone knows what is imagination, everyone knows what it means to be practical, and everyone knows what it means to be logical. So so we're just establishing what we already know. And what I'm gonna give you is, I'm gonna give you a thought experiment, okay? So it's like, let's say, okay, let's take an example, okay? It's I'm not judging it like it's right or wrong, it's true or false. We are just gonna take an abstract topic, so that it's simple to understand, it's simple to imagine, and we're gonna take an example and dissect it. Okay, so let's say we have the concept of rebirth. Okay, so like rebirth is a concept which is widely believed in many cultures, and some cultures may believe in it, some may not, and it's okay. There's nothing right or wrong about it. We are just taking it as an example because it's a very clear example. Okay, like it's not going to be confusing. So if you take the concept of rebirth, mm, firstly, if you say like, if you look for evidence, you kind of don't have much evidence, like maybe there is something, maybe there is like a coincidence. The evidence is not really good, like there's nothing much to prove, or like say like scientifically or something like, oh, we have this existing or not. So evidence is not so good. It's a question mark. It's debatable. Maybe some texts say about it. Maybe something hints are there. Maybe there is not. I'm not much aware about it. But we are just taking it as a thought experiment. Okay. Point is not so. So it's like, so this is so it's like, even if we have or have do not have evidence, it doesn't matter. Okay. So what the way we are gonna think is, this doesn't matter. Okay, so the way we are going to be thinking is, uh, we are going to think in a very fundamental way, and we are not going to look at evidence. Why? Because as we talked in the first class, we can never really determine reality. Like we can never be 100% sure what's the reality, whether it exists or not. We can never 100% determine it. We can only take the readings, we can only take some guesses, or we can only get some hints, but we can never say for 100% sure, like this is it, this is it. We just can't. Okay. And this is not just for rebirth, but for anything. We can't really say with 100% certainty that this is the truth. Okay. Like it can be the truth, but it's for you, or it's something that you have seen. Okay, you just don't know what it is. You have seen it. Okay, so it's like if a bird is flying, you see the bird fly. You kind of don't really know if the bird is there or not. It's kind of like that. Like you can see, you can touch, you can think, you can imagine, but you can never really know what's the reality. uh so so we're not going to look at evidence when we are thinking in this new model of thinking, okay? Because we can never really determine anything. Like even if you say, like, take any truths or anything. Okay, so what are we gonna do is we're gonna imagine and think, okay? And what are we gonna think? So we're gonna do mm, what it does, okay? We're gonna think what would it do to me, okay? So you can say like believe or not believe. And we're gonna do a thought experiment, and we're gonna see what happens if I believe that rebirth exists, and what would happen if I believe that rebirth doesn't exist, okay? So the topic is like rebirth. So we are gonna do a thought experiment, okay? We are gonna list down uh, possibilities, pros, cons, anything, we are gonna imagine, we are gonna be use our emotions, practicality, logic, anything, anything at your disposal. Just freely use it. Just check out the possibilities, okay? So I'm just gonna give it for an example. This is not like something I'm telling you like this is the plus and minus. You have to do it for yourself, um, for any topic basically. But just for an example, I'm gonna show you like what I think would happen if I believed or I did not believe. So let's say if I believe in rebirth, then it's like, you know, death is not the end. Okay, so if rebirth exists, that means that death is not the end of the story. That's death is not the end of the journey. And what this would do is, uh, your fear of death kind of goes away. Like you're not as desperate to get everything in just one lifetime. Like if something you get, you're happy. If you don't get, fine. Maybe someday else I'll get it. It doesn't have to align in the vision of this current lifetime. Like I am not committed. Okay. Uh, so fear of so no fear of death, and I kind of take life lightly. Uh, things in life, to be precise, like things I take things in life a bit more lightly, because I'm like, okay, if I get it, if I get it, if I don't, it's not the end of the world, okay? Maybe some other lifetime I'll be an artist, or I'll be a musician, or I'll be a dancer. Some other lifetime I'll be, whenever the time comes. I don't have to achieve everything is in this one lifetime itself, okay? So mentally, if I believe that rebirth exists, then for me it's like becomes a bit lighter, okay? As you can see that death is not the end of the journey, and that eliminates the fear of death, and that eliminates the need to take life too seriously. Like you can take it lightly, you can take it positively. And what you can do is you can argue that this leads to a more positive life. Like just your normal day-to-day life kind of becomes a bit more positive, a bit more lighter, like even if nothing drastically changes, I can imagine that my life would be a bit better, because I'm taking things lightly and I'm able to focus and enjoy what I have because I'm not too stuck up on what I don't have. And overall, I can imagine a possibility where this can effectively lead to a more positive life. Okay, so this is just for me. You can argue that the negative side of it is, if I take things lightly, then I will not achieve many things in life. Like instead of achieving five things, I'll achieve one thing and I'll be happy and I go sleep. Okay, you can argue that, but for me, it's like I'm happy because it leads to a net positive for me. Okay, so that's my thinking and that's my analysis. Okay, your analysis can be different, your analysis can be something else. That's totally okay. Okay, we are here to think freely. I'm just giving you an example of how I think about various ideas. Okay, so this is like an example for if I believe. And you can argue that if I say I do not believe in rebirth, then for me it's like death is the end. And you can say that this leads to a bit more desperation to achieve, like I've got limited time, I need to be a CEO, I need to have my Audi and all, and I need to plan it, I need to be quick. If I don't save up the money, I'll be not able to get it on time. uh I'll not get married on time. There's a bit of a desperation if I say that death is the end. Okay, uh, and this can lead to more achievements. Like there's a possibility that if I don't believe in rebirth, I'll achieve something more. Okay, there's a good chance that I will, maybe I am not. uh or let's just assume that I will. Okay, but I think that overall I'll be a bit more tensed. And what also, values do not matter, uh, because it's like if there's no consequences or if there's nothing beyond death, then I'm inclined to think that I can just do wrong things and die, and it's the end of the story, right? So it's like, for me, then the value systems kind of get are under attack for me. Okay, because if I don't believe that there is something beyond death, then it doesn't matter. Okay, values don't matter, ethics don't matter, if you think about that. Like my behavior will lose ethics and morals. Like can lose, even if I say, let's say, possibility. Let's talk in that terms. I can lose some morals, I can lose some values, because I'm like, this is the only life that matters. It doesn't matter anything else. And I need to get my life, I need to achieve my current life. And as you can see, like there's a vastly different outcomes on how it leads me to a different kind of a mindset. And this is analysis for me. Okay, so for me, as you must have heard, for me believing that rebirth exists is a more beneficial choice. Like for me it leads to a better life, you can say. Something maybe for you it could be something else. That's your own analysis, that's your own thought, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, but what I want to say is, what I want to prove is, so there are things in life that are good to believe, but cannot be proven. Okay. So the whole idea behind the thought experiment which we just did was to realize this thing that in life there are going to be things which would be which can be like useful for you to believe, like useful for you to follow, useful for you to live that way, but there is no proof that it exists, or there is no proof that it's useful, like there's no physical evidence as to whether or not it's true. But believing that it exists kind of works out sometimes, like sometimes it can be useful to believe that it exists. Whether or not it doesn't exist, it kind of doesn't matter if you think about it. Like in the above example where we took the case of rebirth, you would notice that in either possibility, it doesn't really matter if the rebirth actually exists or not, okay? Like at least in this life, like it doesn't really matter, as in, you can make the same decision, same thing without knowing that it really exists or not. That's what I really mean by it doesn't matter. Like, just the thought of believing is enough to create a difference. Okay, like it actually existing or doesn't existing doesn't make difference, but me believing it or not believing it has a difference. Okay, so that's what I wanted to highlight. Like, there are going to be things which cannot be proven, but maybe they have some good news or goodness to them. So I just want you to keep this in mind, because a lot of times we are trapped into thinking that um we are trapped into thinking that if we cannot prove it, or if we cannot like give evidence for something, then it must be false, and because it's false we have to call it as useless. Okay, but what I mean to say is there could be a fair chance, like a rare chance or anything, that maybe it just works, like even if you cannot prove it, there can be things in life which turn out helpful if you believe in it. Okay, so it's kind of an abstract concept, and it's kind of an imaginative thing. It's not like always, but it's like you have to keep it in mind, because we have the habit of discarding the things, right? We have habit of saying, oh, I do not know the scientific proof for this, so let me get out of my head. We have habit of discarding things, discarding stories, discarding values, thoughts, or any kind of thing, like we have the habit of discarding things because we don't have the proof for it, like. But what I want to say that there are going to be times where uh, it can be helpful. So that was the point. So so this was the idea. Just I wanted to highlight. Like, keep it in mind that things in life that can be good to believe, but cannot be proven. Uh, and so in next class we are also going to do a bit of a thought experiment on real on finding out what exactly is life, uh, and I'm gonna give you some questions to think about, and whatever answer you come up with, that's going to be truth for you. Okay, so that's the idea I have, and yeah, see you in the next one.